Welcome back, Scott Hennig Show. I'm Rob Port, sitting in for the chairman. 855-200-1776 if you want to join the program, or email me, rob@sayanythingblog.com. We've been talking about the fiscal cliff, and one of the most important figures in those issues being negotiated in Washington right now is Senator Tom Coburn from Oklahoma. Senator Coburn, thanks so much for your time.
Glad to be with you.
I want to read you something that Politico just wrote about you. They wrote, I quote, "With a possible tax hike vote in sight, Coburn has emerged as a Sherpa of sorts for reluctant conservatives to discuss a deal that includes higher tax rates on upper-income Americans in exchange for significant spending cuts and sweeping entitlement reforms." You've broken. I mean, a lot of conservatives are saying no tax hikes at all. You're saying let's allow some tax hikes in exchange for spending cuts. And what kind of bothers me a little bit, what worries I think me, people like me who see you as a conservative leader who have a lot of trust for what you do in the Senate, what we worry about is that we're gonna give away tax increases in exchange for spending cuts that are going to be meaningless or aren't going to materialize.
Well, you're going to give the tax cuts away anyhow, because they go away December 31st. Before I ever got to the Senate, the Republicans struck that deal. That 12/31, the tax rates go away. So they're going away anyhow. So why not? Here's the scenario. Let's say we don't agree to that. So all those tax cuts go away, and after the first year, what do you think happens? The president comes to Congress, and the Democrats in Congress and the Republicans in the House say, yeah, we want to restore these tax cuts. And then what are they going to load it up with? Load it up with every other kind of piece of junk to increase spending and get no spending cuts whatsoever. And are the Republicans going to vote against a tax cut for the average American family? They're not. So they're gone anyway. So what we ought to do is say, okay, I want to retreat to fight again, and we can't change it. We can, in fact, protect middle class and middle income Americans, and we can make some difference on the upper income. But that was decided a long time ago, and we don't have the power to stop that because we don't control the presidency and we don't control the Senate. So that's going to happen. So why don't we give them what they want and then fight for anything else? Something's going to happen. We have no leverage on that whatsoever. So let's fight for something that we can do. Is if, in fact, you want to do something other than that, like you want to extend the debt limit, fine. We'll be happy to do that. Let's have some entitlement reform. Let's fix the real problem in our country. Or let's not. The sequester is not a bad deal. It's $1.2 trillion. It's not going to get spent over the next 10 years just by current law. Well, I'm all for changing that, but I'm not for any less of a cut in spending of the federal government. So we ought to put ourselves in a position where we at least have some bargaining power. Our position right now is we have none.
What do you think is going to happen in terms of, for instance, programs like Social Security? My understanding is President Obama has come back today. He's talking about cuts in cost of living increases for Social Security. A lot of people are worried about that. Is that something that could be part of a deal?
Yeah, and it's every group that's met on trying to address this, whether it was Simpson Bowles, the Gang of Eight, no matter who it is, recognizes that the CPI does not accurately reflect the true cost of living. So it's not about cutting, it's about making it more reflective of what the true costs are. But it also has a tax side on it, because if you put CPI, chain CPI in government-wide, you actually increase revenues because the value of deductions and the tax rates change. So it's about one-third, two-thirds, about two-thirds in terms of decreased spending, about one-third in terms of increased revenue. But it's not about whether or not it makes money or save money. We ought to have, if we're going to do consumer price indexing, we ought to do it based on what the best model we can that accurately reflects what the true costs are. You know, it's kind of like Ben Bernanke saying right now, there's no inflation. Go talk to somebody that's renting a home and buying food. They'll tell you there's big-time inflation right now. So we ought to have it. You know, his measurement, if you go to shadowstats.com and look at what inflation is, it's about 6.5%. But the people in the ivory towers in Washington say, no, it's not. So we ought to do accurate reflections of what's going on.
Senator Coburn, what would you prefer? I mean, in a perfect world, how would we emerge out of this? I mean, if Republicans could just get their way, could just impose their will on this process, what would you like to see come out of this situation?
What I would like to see is a total reform of the tax code. So because the upper end has way much advantage on taking, even though they pay the vast majority of the taxes, the top 10% pay 70% of the income taxes in this country. They also advantage themselves through all the deductions by 70 or 80%. So they get the benefits from it. So if we reformed the tax code and lowered everybody's rates and broadened the base, what we'd see is an economic growth that'd be 2 or 3 percentage points higher. And that's one of the things we have to do is we have to stimulate growth. That's number one. And what I proposed in what's called Back in Black, which is $9 trillion of changes in the federal government, $1 trillion of it's increased revenues, $1 trillion of it, $1.2 trillion savings and interest, and then significant reforms to save Medicare and secure Social Security and trim the fat out of this government. What most people don't realize, this government's twice the size it was 11 years ago. 2 times. We spend twice as much money as we did 11 years ago. We ought to ask a question, why? And is the average American better off because we're doing that? And the answer is absolutely not. And are their kids crippled by it? And the answer is absolutely yes. So if you want to fix our country, I wrote a book on it called The Debt Bomb. If you want to fix our country, you got to get $9 trillion out of this government or increase revenues or interest savings over the next 10 years. Otherwise, we're going to crash.
You talk about broadening the base. Is that really what drives, how we get, we talk about how polarized American politics have gotten. Is that really what drives this? Is that we've allowed government to grow so large without paying for it, either by, shifting it to the, deficit spending and just not paying for it at all, just shifting it to the national debt, or focusing the taxes on small groups of people. So broadening the tax base would effectively mean people are going to have to start paying for the government they're getting, right?
That's right. Just remember, politicians of all stripes, I don't care what party they're in, continue to promote benefits coming from the federal government without creating a revenue stream to pay for them. Example number one, Medicare Part D. So what the Republicans and George Bush do? They created $12 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities for their kids by saying we did a drug program. Nobody ever paid a penny in taxes to pay for that. Nobody's paying a penny in taxes to pay for it now. We're borrowing all of it. And what we've done is we've sent a bill to our kids for $12 trillion to say today we're going to pay for people's drugs on Medicare. Now, I'm not against doing that, but what we should have done is if we're going to do that, we should have increased the payroll tax to pay for it. Nothing's free. And what we have $88 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities. We have no idea how we're going to fund them. And that's Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, Social Security disability, and retirement pensions for former government workers and military. $88 trillion, and we got $16 trillion worth of debt. Where are we going to get that money? Who's going to loan us the money?
Yeah,
Nobody.
That's a good question. Senator, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good talking to you. God bless you.
That's Senator Tom Coburn, Republican, Oklahoma, talking about the fiscal cliff, making a lot of sense in my mind. Your phone calls, 855